Imagine walking through towering pillars of an ancient temple, golden light streaming through intricate hieroglyphs, each symbol holding a hidden code of divine wisdom. Imagine initiate souls who have dedicated themselves to the path of enlightenment, learning sacred truths about nature and reality and the soul's journey and the unseen forces that govern our universe. These were the Egyptian mystery schools, but their origins go back further than most people realize, all the way back to Lemuria. Hello, I'm Cherry, a spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. Welcome back to my channel, Lemuria, the Art of Remembering, where we explore the lost wisdom of Lemuria, sacred geometry, numerology, and spiritual teachings that are reawakening in our consciousness today. In this episode, we are diving deep into the Egyptian mystery schools teachings passed down from Lemuria. We'll explore how the spiritual knowledge of Lemuria found its way into ancient Egypt, the secret initiations that guided souls to higher consciousness, and how these teachings still apply today. Now, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment. So take a deep breath, step into the temple of your own inner knowing, and let's begin this journey of remembrance together. Firstly, let's start with the hidden connection between Lemuria and Egypt, the ancient codes that never died. Let's take a moment to stretch the limits of what we've been taught about history. Because what if the lands we were told were separate were actually threads in the same divine tapestry? What if the souls who walked the sacred sands of Egypt once danced in the crystalline waters of Lemuria? Yes, Lemuria and Egypt are separated by time and geography, but spiritually, they are mirror reflections of each other. Two expressions of the same eternal wisdom stream. Lemuria was not a lost continent. It was a frequency, a high vibrational realm where beings lived in harmony with the earth, attuned to cosmic cycles, crystalline technology, and the divine blueprint of source. This wasn't just spiritual theory. It was embodied wisdom. The Lemurians were masters of energy healing, telepathy, light codes, and multidimensional travel. They worked with sound, frequency, color, sacred geometry, and tools that we are only just beginning to remember. But Lemuria, like all great ages, eventually began to fall, whether through natural shifts or energetic imbalances. The land began to sink beneath the waves. And here's where it gets powerful. The Lemurians knew this was coming. They had seen it in the stars, felt it in the earth, and had heard the call to preserve what mattered most, their sacred teachings. Some Lemurian initiates journeyed to Atlantis, embedding codes of energy mastery, divine technology, and sacred union within its crystalline cities. But Atlantis had its own destiny, and when it too began to fall, the torch had to be passed again. Other Lemurian souls, who were the record keepers, the frequency holders, and the temple builders, migrated to the lands that would later become ancient Kemet, now known as Egypt. They brought with them the seeds of Lemurian knowledge, the power of the Merkaba, the science of vibration and sound healing, the maps of the subtle body and chakra systems, and most of all, the sacred art of Ascension. And so the Egyptian mastery schools were born, not as something new, but as a rebirth of what had existed in Lemuria. This means the teachings you see etched in the temple walls of Dendra, the initiations of the priestesses of Isis, the knowledge of Ka, Ba, and Ankh, the soul fragments of the Egyptian spiritual systems, all echo back to Lemurian roots. So the next time you feel a pull towards Egypt, the pyramids, the Eye of Horus, even the ancient rites of Ra and Thoth, know this: you might not just be remembering Egypt, you could be remembering Lemuria too. The teachings were never lost. They were simply encoded, waiting for you to reawaken them. And P.S., to help you tap into this ancient system of wisdom, I've created a guided meditation that takes you directly into the Akashic records, the multidimensional library of your soul's memories. Inside, you'll uncover the Lemurian Egyptian threads of your own soul's journey. Are you ready to remember? Because if you are, then you can find all my meditations in the meditation playlist, which I'll attach a link to around this video at the end of the video. So let's get into the Egyptian mystery schools, the temples of Ascension, and the keys to remembrance. The Egyptian mystery schools were not simply centers of learning. They were temples of transformation, gateways into higher dimensions, sacred portals where the soul was stripped of illusion, polished in divine fire, and reborn into truth. To walk their halls wasn't just to gain knowledge, it was to embody divine gnosis. It was to embody divine knowledge, to reclaim the parts of yourself long forgotten, to activate the soul's highest potential and step into the light body of the reawakened self. The schools were not open to everyone. Only those spiritually called, those who had heard the soul's whispers through lifetimes, were invited. It wasn't about privilege, it was about resonance. You didn't apply to enter these temples, you were summoned, drawn by dreams, visions, or soul memories, nudged awake by something ancient and undeniable. These teachings were never written down in plain sight. They were passed orally, encoded within chants, ritual movements, and vibrational frequencies. Only later were fragments inscribed on temple walls or hidden in hieroglyphs and scrolls, designed to be understood only by those who already held the codes within their DNA. This is why when you read certain phrases, symbols, or mantras, your body resonates before your mind even understands, because the truth lives in your cells. This is the ancestral memory, not imagination. Initiates don't just study metaphysics, they become it. They trained for years, sometimes even lifetimes, in energetic mastery, sacred geometry as the map of the cosmos and the soul, light body activation through the Merkaba, sound frequency and toning to alter reality, dream work and multidimensional travel, and the cosmic laws governing soul evolution, karma and the ascension. Each initiation was designed to help the initiate raise into divine essence, raise their divine essence, to die before death and reawaken into eternal life. And here's where we find one of the most profound threads connecting Lemuria and Egypt. The figure known as Thoth, scribe of the gods, guardian of the Akashic records, master of time, architect of sacred knowledge. Some believe that Thoth was not originally of Earth, that he was an ascended Lemurian soul, carrying the wisdom of the stars and the frequencies of ancient Lemuria into the physical dimension. He became the keeper of the mysteries, not to hoard knowledge, but to protect it, to ensure that only those who were ready, who walked through the fires of transformation, would remember. So when you hear the whispers of Egypt, when you're drawn to the temples, the symbols, the stories of Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Thoth, you are not simply curious, you are remembering. You are awakening your inner initiate. You are reactivating the codes of the mystery schools that were always lived within you. Mystery schools that have always lived within you. And that is no accident. You're being called again. In this next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the frequency keys of Thoth and the Merkaba and the chariot of divine light that connects Lemurian teachings to the Egyptian path of ascension. So the teachings of Thoth and the Lemurian lineage of light. What if the gods were never gods at all, but ascended beings, master teachers, interdimensional guides sent to help humanity evolve? What if Thoth wasn't just a myth, but a Lemurian light keeper, here to anchor divine wisdom into the earthly realms? Because across cultures and timelines, one truth remains. Thoth was the bridge between the seen and the unseen, a guardian of sacred knowledge, a mentor to those ready to remember their multidimensional nature. His teachings, preserved in the legendary Emerald Tablets, speak not only of alchemy and time travel, but of an ancient crystalline civilization that predated Egypt. Was it Lemuria? Was it Atlantis? Perhaps both. Two facets of the same golden age, where souls lived in conscious union with Source. These tablets whisper of the evolution of the soul, the nature of light and vibration, the path of ascension through inner mastery, the journey of death, not as an ending, but as the gateway into eternity. And to those who read them, not just with the mind, but with the heart. The energy field knows this isn't fiction, but with the heart and the energy field knows this isn't fiction, it's activation. Thoth didn't just teach magic, he taught the laws of the cosmos. His hermetic principles, such as above, so below, as within, so without, all in the mind, all is mind, vibration is the key to everything, mirror the Lemurian truths, and everything is connected by resonance, frequency, and divine patterning. These teachings weren't mental concepts. They were embodied technologies, ways of living, healing, and manifesting in alignment with the divine blueprint. And at the core of his wisdom was the Merkaba, a sacred geometric light vehicle that allows the soul to travel between dimensions. Because the Lemurians also practiced this. They activated their light bodies through frequency, intention, and sacred sound. They used the Merkaba as a chariot of light to access higher realms, retrieve soul memories, and serve as a healer across time and space. Thoth didn't invent the Merkaba, he reminded us of it. He brought Lemurian technology into Egyptian form, encoded within symbols, temples, and rituals. And here's the prophecy. The Emerald Tablets speak of a time when this wisdom would return, when humanity would be ready again, when the sands would shift and the lost teachings would rise. That time is not in the future. That time is now. You wouldn't be hearing these words unless you were part of that remembrance. A soul encoded with the same mission, to reclaim your power, to activate your light body, to walk the path of divine truth. So if your heart beats faster when you hear the name of Thoth, if something in you stirs when you see ancient symbols or sacred geometry, if you feel like you've done this before in lifetimes long past, you're not imagining it, you're awakening. You are Lemurian, you are Egyptian, you are a keeper of the flame. Now let's move on to the initiation process, preparing the soul for ascension. The mystery schools were not universities. They weren't about gathering facts or memorizing teachings. They were soul cubicles designed to strip away illusion, burn through ego, and activate the divine blueprint within. To be initiated was to be unmade and remade. It was a spiritual metaphor meant to reawaken the divine within and prepare the initiate to hold more light, truth, and frequency than ever before. And this path wasn't linear. Let's walk through the 5 sacred stages of the soul path. Stage 1, the awakening. This is a call to remembrance, a soul stirring, whispers that say, you are more than this. You are made for something greater. For many, it begins with discomfort, a sense of disconnection, a yearning to find meaning, a realization that the world as we know it doesn't hold the whole truth. In Lemuria and Egyptian initiates often receive this call through dreams, symbols, or visions. Some were even born into the temples, but many were called after deep soul activations. Today, this might look like suddenly feeling out of alignment with your job or relationships, a spontaneous spiritual awakening or energy activation, a pull towards sacred lands, ancient symbols, or esoterical teachings. The reawakening doesn't begin with answers. It begins with questions you can no longer ignore. Stage 2, the trials. This was not for the faint of heart. Once the initiate entered temple gates, they were put through a series of challenges, not to punish, but to purify. These trials were crafted to break the grip of the ego, to test the emotional strength, mental clarity, and spiritual devotion. They might face dark nights of the soul, temptation and distraction, confrontation with fear, shadow, and illusion, periods of deep isolation or silence in ancient temples. This included fasting, silence, facing symbolic death, walking through chambers of fire, water, or darkness. Today, your trials might look like a crumbling of your identity, feeling lost or alone on your spiritual path, letting go of relationships, beliefs, or habits that no longer align. But through it all, the soul is being recalibrated. You are not being punished. You're being refined. Stage 3, the sacred teachings. Only after purification could the initiate receive the teachings. These weren't lessons in the traditional sense. They were energetic transmissions, codes, and vibrations. Wisdom designed to awaken parts of the soul that had been dormant. They studied sacred geometry, the language of creation, light body mechanics, how to activate them, how to travel with the Merkaba, astral travel and dream work, assessing the Akashic records and divine realms, energy healing and soul alchemy, transmuting density into light, universal laws such as rhythm, polarity, and vibration. The true teachings was never in words, it was in the energy behind them. The temples themselves were vibrational tools, each chamber attuned to a specific frequency or healing. Activation and ascension. Stage 4 was death and rebirth, one of the most powerful rites. The initiate would symbolically or even physically face death, not as an end, but as a gateway. They were placed in sarcophagi or underground chambers, deprived of light, sound, and stimuli, left alone with their soul. They would face their deepest fears, the illusions of the material world, the truth of their multidimensional being. Some would experience near-death states, astral separation, or full soul-body disassociation. Why? Because they had to die their old selves, to everything they thought they were. When they emerged, they were reborn, aligned with soul, truth, and source. Today, your rebirth might come through a completion of spiritual identity shift, ego dissolution, a dark night of the soul followed by profound clarity. Rebirth is the moment the soul steps forward and says, I remember who I am. Stage 5 was the mastery and service. Once reborn, the initiate was no longer a student. They became a priestess, priest, oracle, healer, or guide, committed not just to their path, but to the awakening of humanity. This stage wasn't about perfection, it was about embodiment. They held frequencies that others could feel. Their presence activated remembrance in others. They became a living temple, anchoring divine codes wherever they went. You might be here now if others are naturally drawn to your energy. You feel called to teach, guide, or heal. You're anchoring light just by being who you are. You can no longer ignore your soul's mission. And here's the most important part. These mystery school teachings were never meant to remain hidden. They were seeded into the earth's temples, crystals, and your DNA, waiting for the time for global awakening. And this time is now. If you're listening to this, you're not just remembering. You're being called to rise, to lead, and to initiate others. So how can you apply this wisdom today? So you might be wondering, Sherry, this all sounds magical, but how does it help me now? In this body, in this life, with this real human stuff? Well, the answer is simple. The mystery school has never just been a place. It has always been a frequency. And that frequency is rising again inside you. Everything you've just remembered, because yes, this is remembering, not learning, isn't ancient history. It's your spiritual inheritance. The temples may have crumbled, but the codes live in your cells, your soul, and your sacred breath. So let's talk about how you can embody this wisdom right now. Without needing to step inside a pyramid or travel to Egypt, reawaken the initiate within you. If something deep in you stirs during this episode, if you feel tingles, emotions, goosebumps, deja vu, or just a knowing that wasn't random, that was your initiate self, your priestess, priest, your healer, your light body leader waking up. The first step, honor the call. Start with small rituals, sacred studies, or journaling questions like, what mysteries am I ready to remember? Where have I hidden my spiritual gifts in this lifetime? What do I feel deep down I was born to teach or awakening others? Let your soul lead. Start studying sacred geometry, explore frequency healing, play with energy, return to the earth. Let your life become your temple. Practice light body activation. The initiates of both Lemuria and Egypt didn't just talk about light, they became it. They knew the Merkaba, your divine light body, isn't some abstract concept. It's your ascension vehicle, your cosmic chariot. And guess what? You don't need a guru or a stone temple or a 10-year pilgrimage to start activating it. You just need presence, breath, sacred intention, and practice. Try this. Visualize 2 counter-rotating tetrahedrons of light around your body. One masculine spinning clockwise, one feminine spinning counterclockwise. Breathe deeply and slowly. Imagine them activating your auric field, creating a star tetrahedron of light. Feel yourself becoming lighter, expanded, and more in tune with higher frequencies. This is your Merkaba activation. Start small, go deep. I've got meditations that can guide you. Work with your sacred symbols and sounds. Everything in the mystery schools was built on using vibrational architecture. The temples were tuned to specific frequencies. The symbols encoded with cosmic memories. You can bring this into your space right now. Place symbols like the flower of life, the Ankh, the Eye of Horus on your altar, desk, or even a water bottle. Use frequencies 5 to 8 hertz or 963 hertz sound frequencies during meditation to activate your light body. Chant or tone sacred sounds like Ra, Hu, or to vibrate your cells into divine alignment. Try this ritual. Light a candle, draw a sacred symbol with your finger in the air, and gently chant, breathe deeply, and feel your energy shift. Remember, it's not about form, it's about the frequency. Understand that you are on a soul's journey. This is perhaps the most powerful truth you can carry. You are already on your initiation path. Your life is your mystery school. Every heartbreak, shadow, healing, spiritual epiphany, those are your trials, your temple gates, your rites of passage. The question is no longer, am I on the path? It's, am I walking it with awareness, courage, and soul embodiment? Let yourself see your life through a sacred lens. You are not broken. You've never been broken. You're being refined. You are not lost. You're being initiated. You're not too late. You are right on time. A quick reminder, none of this is meant to overwhelm you. Start where you are, with what you have, in the energy you're in today. Let your curiosity lead. Let your rituals be simple. Let your remembrance be gentle but fierce, because when you do, you activate the mystery schools within, and that changes everything. Let's embody this together now that you have reawakened this sacred wisdom. I invite you to step into it fully with a guided activation inspired by the Egyptian mystery schools, a sacred visualization to begin your own inner temple journey. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share and comment. Until the next time, see you in the next video.